Hello my friends, Asoka here. So today's podcast is going to focus on DcFandome, the aftermath. This is going to address, or this podcast, I'm going to address my specific experience with DcFandome. I did not get to watch everything and look at every panel and get all the info and details. So this isn't a news podcast, so if you want detailed information on all the panels, definitely check out a lot of the other YouTubers' videos who have a lot better coverage than I have. This is specifically about my experience with DcFandome. So yeah, let me get into it. So first of all, what is DcFandome? For those of you who don't know, maybe you didn't hear anything about it, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So DcFandome was DC Comics or DC Entertainment's answer to a virtual Comic-Con. We're in COVID times. It's 2020 and it's August, so we're still in COVID at this point in time. And of course, you cannot go to any comic book conventions. So San Diego Comic-Con was not around, or they had the Comic-Con at home, which was okay. So DC decided to do DcFandome, which was a 24-hour event globally, all online, where they'd host panels and reveal trailers and news and whatnot. Originally, it was just going to be one weekend, but now they've split it up into 2 weekends. So in September, there will be another weekend of DcFandome, I think focusing on TV more than the movies. So yeah, that's DcFandome. So what were my expectations of DcFandome? So I was a little confused about what it would look like. And that could just be my ignorance. Maybe I didn't read enough information about it. But I kind of imagined I'd log on to DcFandome.com. There'd be all these different sections that you could navigate to look at different information. So if you wanted to look at Batman, there'd be like a Batman section to look at Batman information or panels that had taken place. That's what I was visualizing. I thought it would be sort of this, a website with just different sections that you could visit and look at different bits of information. So when I first logged on to DcFandome, all I had was one, streaming video that was streaming something. I forgot what it was at the moment. And then to the right, I had a panel showing Twitter information, basically people's reactions via Twitter, it looked like. And then there's a place to select your language. And then there was a link to the online store, or online stores. There's a lot of different online stores you could access. So that was all I got. So at first I was like, am I missing something? Is there a whole section I'm missing? Because honestly, I got to it midday, so I wanted to go watch the Justice League Snyder Cut panel, but there wasn't really a way to watch it. So I was like a little thrown off by that. I had assumed that you could just go and watch any panels that you wanted. But no, it's actually kind of a live event. All these panels were recorded prior to the event, so they weren't live panels, but you had to kind of watch it live. And at first my expectations was that you could just go watch whatever you want, but then I realized, you have to actually watch it. And I think that's a better approach, honestly. I would have preferred to have an on-demand way to watch it, but then I'm like, well, that would totally defeat the purpose of creating some sort of hype or excitement around this event, right? If it were just pre-recorded segments that you could watch it at any time, no one would really watch it at the same time. It wouldn't really generate the level of excitement that it did. So I think this was a good approach. I mean, my expectations were incorrect. Those were my expectations, and that's not what the event was. So once I kind of got past that, I was like, okay, well, I'll just watch it. And I did. I watched it for an hour or two. And I really enjoyed it, just watching it kind of live along with everyone else. I was texting a couple of friends as they were watching it. I was going online to look at online reactions. So I think it really worked in that regard. It was really cool that everyone was watching it at the same time, all around the world, experiencing this together. So that was really cool. And I want to talk more about the event itself and what I think about the structure of it. And I think I will do that at the end of the video. First, I just want to kind of go into what I got out of the event, the news that I was able to consume, and the things that, I care about. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm looking over here to my notes. That's why I keep looking off camera for those of you watching the video. So first of all, when I started watching it, the first panel I was watching was Shazam. So it was funny because Zachary Levi was on there and not really giving away much information. He gave away the title. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the title of the sequel, which is a great title. But it was just sort of a funny panel because they haven't started shooting it yet, so there's not much they could reveal. So they had Asher Angel and the other cast members kind of pop on, and then randomly they had Sinbad, the old comedian. I'm sorry, he's old at this point. From the 90s, the 80s and 90s, he was on all of a sudden, and I love Sinbad. I'm a big fan of Sinbad, so I got a kick out of that. I was laughing hysterically when he showed up for some reason, like, Sinbad's on this? But I think he's in the movie, I think if I read the news correctly, so that's really awesome, if that's correct. So yeah, I love that part. That was cool, just having Sinbad on the show. So that was a fun little panel, so I enjoyed that. Some of the other news... Oh, actually, before I get to that, Will Arnett, I caught Will Arnett talking about the new Suicide Squad game with one of the guys from Rocksteady. Which was a little awkward, to be honest with you. It was a very sort of like he was a... I don't know, it's kind of like you're at Universal Studios and when you send to see an actor in part of the tram tour and, kind of interacting with you. That's what it felt like that segment was like. It kind of didn't come off as natural as, I don't know if they were hoping for. It was definitely felt a little bit more produced than some of the other things I saw, but it was cool. It was good information, so that game looks really cool. Okay. The Wonder Woman panel, that was awesome. I got to catch bits and pieces of that later on YouTube and during the encore. I love the cast. Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot, obviously, Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig. They're really awesome. It's a really awesome cast. They're really kind people. I feel like their engagement with the fans is awesome. And I watched the trailer. The trailer looks awesome, but man, it's as tough as we would have seen this movie months ago, and we're still kind of don't know when we're going to get to see it. It looks like we're going to get to see it in a couple of months. I know Tenet's coming out in the U.S. here next month, and it's already hitting international, so looks like that will actually hit theaters. I don't know if I'm going to see it, depending on how COVID is at the time. I would love to see it on the big screen, but we'll see how COVID... I'm in California. There's a lot of cases of it still, so we'll see. But anyways, the Wonder Woman panel was great. They came back on later to play some werewolf game. I didn't really watch that part, but it was great. I mean, it's hard to do Zoom. I mean, all of us now have a lot of experience with Zoom, and try to stay positive, upbeat, try not to talk over each other. I think they did a really great job, everyone in DcFandome, of pulling it off in that regard. So the Wonder Woman panel was really well done. The Suicide Squad, I didn't get to watch any of the Suicide Squad panel, but I did watch the behind-the-scenes video that they released, trailer / behind the scenes, and holy cow, I mean, this movie looks amazing. I mean, just the tone of it. I love James Gunn. I love what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy was a property. I'm a comic book guy, and I had never read that comic book from Marvel. It was kind of like a C-list comic, I think. And so what he did with Guardians was amazing, and I can't wait to see what he does with the Suicide Squad. I mean, I'm a hardcore DC fan, as most of you guys know, and even for me, a lot of those characters I've never heard of, some of them. So I can't wait to see what he's going to do with them. I think I'm most looking forward to what he does with King Shark. I think that's going to be really cool. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. I really love the footage, and it's exciting how deep he went in with these obscure DC characters. Also, he has Mon Gal in the Suicide Squad, and I think she's the daughter of Mongol. Mongol is a famous Superman villain. Superman's fought him a bunch of times in the comic books. He was involved with the Return of Superman comic book. He destroyed Coast City, Hal Jordan's home base. So he has a pretty big impact in the DC universe. So obviously the fanboy in me was like, hey, they got Mongol. When are they going to have Mongol? Is he around in this? Is he going to show up in a DC movie? Because I would love that. He's such a cool DC villain. His thing is he has Warworld. It's this moving moon that is just a weapon. So anyways, that's just getting a little off topic there, but it opened my mind to all the possibilities that could be had. So really looking forward to the Suicide Squad from James Gunn. Next, let's talk about the Flash movie. So the Flash movie, the things, the information we got from it, specifically about Ben Affleck. So a couple of days before Fandome, it was revealed that Ben Affleck is going to come back as Batman officially for the Flash, and I was just shocked when I heard that news. I mean, we're living in such a weird time because prior to this, when an actor said they're done with the role of Batman or most of these comic book roles, they're really done. I mean, prior till today, Michael Keaton never came back, Val Kilmer never came back, George Clooney, and Ben Affleck, they said they're done and that you kind of move on with your life. People have been wanting him to come back, but I had no hope that he would ever come back. He just seemed really done with it. Didn't seem like he had a great experience with the part. The reception was all over the place. I loved him as Batman, but he had got a lot of flack for it, especially around the BVS time. So I'm shocked that he's coming back, and I'm really happy that he is. It was funny when he was near the end of like the Justice League promotion or afterwards. He was always mentioned this talk track. He wanted to find a cool way to segue out of the role. And I guess this is what he was referring to. So I'm not sure how long they've had this planned for, but there's definitely a really cool way to segue out of the Batman role. So apparently he's going to show up at the beginning of the film. He's going to, create a new costume for Barry Allen. And then during the events of Flashpoint, I don't know if he's just going to disappear or if Barry's going to be trapped on another world or however that's going to take place. But then it's going to sound like Michael Keaton's Batman is then going to take over at that point. So you're going to have a Flash movie with a Ben Affleck Batman and a Michael Keaton Batman. So I'm just really excited for it. It sounds like they have a really good plan. The director mentioned that he had sent the script to Ben Affleck. He had put some notes in it, so Ben's read the script. It's an actual script, not just something that's being planned. It is being planned, but you know what I mean. It sounds like it's pretty far along. And then during the fandom, we saw some concept art, which is really cool to see that. One of the pieces of concept art was Flash's new costume and Michael Keaton's Batman in the background, and it was his Batman. It was him in the '89 Batman costume in the shadows, and you're just like, this is really happening. We're going to have Michael Keaton alongside a modern-day DC hero, and I think this is so brilliant of DC to embrace their history. Marvel's amazing. What they've done with their movies, their track record is historic. It's mind-blowing how successful they are with the grosses of their movies and the quality and what they've done with their cinematic universe. Marvel's killed it. There's no arguing with that, and that's coming from a DC guy. I love what they've done. But dude, DC invented the superhero movie. In 1978, they came out with Superman the movie, which is still often referred to by the folks today making current superhero movies as the one they keep going back to. And I felt like DC's never embraced that. They've always tried to act like they've never made a superhero movie before. Their track record is all over the place. I'm looking at you, Jonah Hex. But they've been making movies since 1978, superhero movies. Great superhero movies. The Superman movies, the Batman movies. I love the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie. Road to Perdition is a DC movie. It's based on a DC comic book. So they know what they're, added myself here. They've had success with superhero movies, and it makes me really happy that they've embraced that. I would love to see a DC opening like Marvel does, but showing footage from the '78 Christopher Reeves movie to the Nolan movies, and everything in between, because they have such a proud and rich history of making great superhero content. And you don't have to just look at the past 10 years from, Batman vs. Superman as the start, or Man of Steel as the start of the DC universe in movies. They've been doing it since 1978, so I'm really happy that they're embracing that. They're going to take advantage of Michael Keaton. I mean, Michael Keaton was in the new Spider-Man movies, and he was fantastic in those, and I'm glad they realized, like, hey, why do we have him making Marvel movies? We should have him in our DC movies. So I'm really happy with that direction and just the mindset they have moving forward. Alright, so let's talk about the Snyder Cut next. So that Snyder Cut trailer, holy cow. First of all, when I started watching it, that song, obviously I know that song very well that they played in the trailer from the Watchmen movie. I love the Watchmen movie. So that's a song. It was just funny when you start hearing it, and I'm like, wow, he went there. He's like, that song has always been a little controversial. I can't talk, I'm sorry. So it was funny that he used that song, but it worked so perfectly for the trailer. The music was amazing, the footage was amazing. Some of it, sure, they were like alternate takes of what we saw from the Justice League that was released, but the trailer was so good. You saw his color palette, the footage, dark side, it was amazing. I'm just so excited for the Snyder Cut. So happy that Zack is getting a chance to show his vision. I am definitely a Snyder Cut fan, a Zack Snyder fan. So I'm so excited for that movie and the trailer. And just, man, the way he cut it together and just seeing... The Cyborg was honestly my favorite part of Justice League. Just, he was such an interesting character, had so much empathy about him and sort of sadness, and I just really am glad that he's going to be the focus of the Snyder Cut. And everyone looked great. The Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman looked so badass when he came out of that house and went to the pier and the water hitting him, and then even his conversation with Mira looked more interesting. Just him sort of, dropping back into the water. Just everything about that trailer was fantastic. So well done, Zack. I'm so happy that we're getting this. We're getting it next year. And again, this is something that you never thought would happen. With Richard Donner's Superman 2, we got a Donner cut of that 6-7 years ago, maybe longer now. But it took them 30 years or so to get that out. It was just not commonly done. But now people are seeing, or the executives are seeing, that fans want this content. And they need content for all these different platforms we're all paying for. So I'm really glad that they realize that this is going to generate some subscribers for them. It's going to make the fans happy, build a lot of goodwill. I already signed up for HBO Max, so I am really excited for the Snyder Cut. Okay, so the next one. The Batman. Oh, the Batman. So, prior to this trailer, I was not that excited for the Batman. I didn't like the Batmobile when they released pictures of it. It just looks like a hot rod from the pictures. I was like, okay. I'm a fan of the Tim Burton aesthetic. I miss that gothic, comic booky fins on the Batmobile, which we've lost completely. It's gone, I guess. The only place I might be able to see that is in a cartoon. So I was not excited for the Batmobile. The footage I saw, the spy footage, the set footage that was leaked, it was like, okay. The Batsuit that they revealed in that little clip, that little red wash clip that Matt Reeves revealed, I was not excited about it. And the logo, they released the logo Friday or Thursday or Friday, and I wasn't excited about that either. I was like, okay. So I was not excited about the Batman, unfortunately. I was just I wasn't digging any of the few bits of information or few images we had seen, and I just wasn't feeling it. But then, holy shit, that trailer. Okay, I take back everything I just said. The Batmobile looks awesome, the costume looks awesome, and the logo looks fantastic. That trailer just blew me away, like it did most of you, I'm sure. Just the atmosphere that he's created, it looked like the movie Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. That's what it looked like. It looked like that sort of style, and just the seriousness of it. Just Jim Gordon reading that riddle as the narration to the trailer was awesome. And I'm so excited for this movie. I'm way more excited than I thought I would be, which is always the way. You always see crappy footage leaked out, and then you see the actual polished trailer with what they're actually shooting, and you're just like, holy cow. And the amazing thing is they've only shot 25% of this, and it looks this good already. Robert Pattinson, wow, he looks amazing in the bat suit, and just the way he moves, and the looks he's giving in the movie. He doesn't talk much, but he's just so good. The other thing my friend pointed out was the eye makeup. So it was so cool to see him with the eye makeup. In every other Batman movie, like in Batman Returns, for example, there's that scene where he tears off the mask dramatically to Michelle Pfeiffer, and while he's tearing off the mask, they do a cut, and the black eye makeup is gone from his eyes, so when he takes off the mask, it's a beautiful Michael Keaton face with a little scratch from his battle with the Penguin. So they didn't do that with this. They embraced the eye makeup. So you see him with the eye makeup as he wears it, and he owns it. And I'm like, holy cow, that's so cool. All the friends I've talked to love the trailer. I think this is one that's really going to capture the mainstream as well. A lot of the stuff DC's doing is, but it's just really cool trailer. Matt Reeves, bravo on what you've done. And just his conversation, I did get to watch that panel actually. So the way he was talking about the Batman, how he was referencing Darwin Cook's ego, and the different the approach he's taking to the movie is just really cool. I'm glad it's a year 2 story, so we don't have to go through the origin again. Batman's already established. So I'm really excited for this movie. The next one, Black Adam. So Black Adam, man, The Rock has been attached to this role for years and years. He's been talking about this role for so long. We're finally starting to see some of it. We saw some pre-concept visuals, and it looks amazing. I love Black Adam as a character. He's sort of an anti-hero, more on the anti than hero, but I'm really excited. The Rock was born to play this role, and then you're hearing that, you know, the Justice Society is going to be in it, Hawkman, Atom Smasher, so I'm really excited about it. And I might have missed this on the panel, but I'm curious to see when this takes place. It sounds like it starts to take place, you know, thousands of years ago in Egypt or Kandahar or wherever that fictional Middle Eastern city is, and then it shoots forward to present time. But I'm curious if it's like World War II Justice Society that he wakes up in, or if it's modern day. It sounds like it's modern day. Actually, yeah, I think it is modern day, but I'm just so excited. If we get a live-action Dr. Fate in the movies, we've had him on TV, but in the movies, oh, I love Dr. Fate, so I'm really excited about that. Okay. The next thing I'll talk about that I got to experience is the Fandom store. So the attempt to get us to buy stuff, and it worked on me. I bought the Batman T-shirt with the logo that I was making fun of last week, but now I'm in love with. So I bought that. There's tons of T-shirts to buy, tons and tons of T-shirts. I didn't see that many cool collectibles really that interested in me, but it was cool that there was a fandom store where you could buy a DC Fandom T-shirt. I don't buy too many DC logo shirts anymore because I have a DC logo tattoo there, and so I kind of feel a little like it's a bit much wearing a DC logo on my T-shirt. I have a tattoo. Yeah, it's a little much, so that's why I didn't buy a DC Fandom T-shirt. But I would have if I didn't buy that Batman one. Also, it was such a cool shirt. So it's really cool. I like the Fandom store. So yeah. Then finally, I just want to talk about the event itself. So again, I think this is really awesome that they did this globally at the same time. You know, because Comic-Con, I've been there a bunch of times. I haven't gone lately because I can't get tickets. I live in California, and I can't get tickets. Not that that matters, but it's so hard to get tickets to go to Comic-Con. It's definitely sort of an exclusive event now. You're lucky to get into it, and it sucks for people in other countries who miss out on these experiences because, you know, they don't live here, and it's not their, you know, they live where they live. They live in beautiful places, but, you know, they don't get to come to Comic-Con. It's hard to come to Comic-Con. It costs a lot of money to fly over here to go to Comic-Con, even if you, that is to say, if you can even get tickets to it. So I think for everyone who doesn't get to go to Comic-Con, this is a great way to sort of unite fans and have us all experience something that didn't require you trying to get lucky to get a ticket to something, to an event. That they just gave it out to everyone at the same time, and I think it really worked. I think it really connected everyone, and people were up in their countries at midnight or 3 a.m. watching, you know, this event, and it was so unifying. I loved it. Also, it was a really great experiment. I mean, COVID has brought us a lot of really shitty things, but I mean, I don't think DC Fandom might not have happened without COVID, and I feel like this is a better way to go than Comic-Con. I mean, why, you know, spend all this time and money flying everyone to Comic-Con, which is still really cool, but just so that a certain group of people can watch it, and sure, it gets leaked out later or they air the panels live later, where you can just do it this way, and people get to enjoy it, and you reach a much larger audience. I will say I do miss the crowd reaction, though. It is really cool when you watch even panels that have been recorded when the stars come out and the crowd reaction to the stars, to the trailers. I do miss that. So I think, you know, after COVID, it'd be really cool. Honestly, if they still did conventions, I hope they do. I love conventions. I'm not saying don't do conventions, but I hope they still do a convention with a crowd, but they should always stream it like they did here. Stream it live for everyone to enjoy. For the folks who get to go and see it live, awesome, but also make it available for everyone to see at the same time. So I really loved it. Also, it was just really impressive that it worked without a hitch. I mean, I didn't hear of any complaints about people not able to watch it, download problems. Again, that's my experience. For what I heard, I didn't hear of any issues with it. Everyone got to watch it, enjoy it, and with no issues. So that's pretty fantastic that they had, I would assume, millions of people watching this at times, and there weren't any issues watching it. When I was watching it, didn't freeze up. I was watching it during the Batman the Batman panel, and it would work perfectly. So well done to the tech team over at Warner Brothers for pulling off such an achievement, because it worked beautifully. All the segments were recorded very nicely. They had time to do it. Not that much time though, a couple of months maybe, and it flowed all very nicely together, consistently. It was organized really well. They did a great job with it. I mean, I think they did a fantastic job pulling this off. So I think that's it. Those are all my thoughts on DcFandome. I really enjoyed it. I wish I got to watch more of it. I have a little daughter though. I had to take her to the beach. You know, she comes first, her and my wife, so which I'm okay with. But I got to read about all the news later. I got to catch some of the panels. I could have watched some of the encores yesterday, but I'm doing some work in the Shed of Solitude, if you can see in the background here. So I had to take down all of my collectibles, which I'm still in the process of doing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. If they do this again next year, I'm going to definitely make more of an effort to catch more of the panels as they're happening, just to be part of that experience. But bravo DC, really excited about all the news we got, and I hope you guys enjoyed DcFandome as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe. You should be watching this, or you are watching this either on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Go ahead and follow. This is the kind of stuff I do. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching this, and if you stuck through the whole thing, thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.